Miss Janet.
I always ask him to play my Chicago music when I'm over, so. Hi! I love hearing this one. I would sing something for you tonight, but I figured I will save that for my feature this Saturday at Expressions at the Baha'i Center. I am doing a musical feature along with my wonderful musician husband, John, who's doing my guitar and percussion with a bunch of other features as well that are in a huge show celebration if you want to know about it. Talk to that word slinger from Down Under, Tom. He's hosting that event this Saturday. I just did a Facebook event listing for it too, which is cool. I went to a poetry open mic that had a theme for the next time, and this was something about stepping on cracks or something was the thing, and so I came up with, this is the first poem, this is called Step. Step on a crack, break your mama's back. Step on a landmine, blow up your infantry. Step on an IED, blow up your military-grade Humvee. Not because you were at war, but because you were sent there to try to keep the peace. Because if you're not in a standing army, you can always improvise and make explosive devices to destroy an enemy that's only trying to keep the peace. We've all taken that step before, to lend a hand, to help a blind man cross a street, to help a mentally disabled teen learn to swim across the shallow end of the swimming pool, to open a door for someone with their hands full, to take some of the weight from someone who has too much to carry. We've all taken that step before, and when we stepped into a war, we didn't know that we were in. Every generous move could be our last. That's what we get for kindness. That's what we get for trying to lend a hand. That's what we get for seeing those cracks in the road and trying to help others struggle through this maze of life. Step on a crack, break your mama's back. But be careful, that crack could open into a gorge and swallow you whole as that deepening crack dines on your hopes and dreams. So remember, step lightly, check around you, check above and below, 'cause it's a slippery slope when you trade kindness for security. You've stomped through life, you've gotten ahead, just remember when to step lightly and be prepared with both that welcoming hand and that big stick. Be ready for every disaster, and you're ready at every glorious moment. At every single step.
Yeah.
This is a strange one, which makes me think I'm going to write a similar one about, 7 countries in 7 days or something. And it's really tiny type here. This is in 5 different parts. It's called One Summer. This one. Kevin. You went off to work. I was left in your apartment, an apartment in a street corner in Washington, D.C., my first trip alone. You gave me a key and said you'd be home after work. And so I go, closing that iron gate that I loved, I was so fascinated by looking at, and I left that behind me. I walked through campus, stretched out in the sun. I tucked the map in my pocket, walked through M Street, took the corners, took the correct turns. I remember someone on the street complimented me on my t-shirt. I was almost sure I had been there before. And that's when there was this one fellow, tall, unlike you. Well, we went out, and I knew I didn't have a care in the world. All my ties were almost broken. I was almost free. I'd never see this man again. Maybe I'd let him kiss me. And as we walked down the street that night with him, I skipped. And he liked me that much more. Sherry, The heat of the Arizona smells like burning flesh. I met your roommate, your friends drank at the coffee plantation, iced mocha coffees. And then I met you-know-who. I still don't want to say his name. He kept me occupied. No, he made me feel alive. Alive for someone who had never lived before. Alive those long 5 days. I could still mark the day on my calendar, the day that my life was supposed to change, the day that I was supposed to be free. But it was supposed to be something good. I was supposed to start caring for myself. Then why does a part of me regret it? He bought me a rose the day I left, and you took a picture of us, and I thought that morning that it would be justice if I just never heard from him again, to leave it at that. But then I had to go call him from the airplane on my trip home. Why? Joe, you had to be cruel to me just once. I suppose we had been through enough, went through our ups and downs and our little hells because of each other. I know that we had our differences, but I was looking forward to actually seeing you and seeing Southern California, the stores, the glamour, the beaches, the commercialism. And you had to cart me over to your religious troop for a wilderness retreat, leaving me at a campsite while you went off to church. And I sat there for days, watching us become bloodthirsty. We were trying to hurt each other. We were like animals, you starting your life with me in tow. And I saw the redwood forests. Douglas, I never imagined how beautiful the East Coast could be, rolling hills, curling one into another. We'd drive up a hill in your truck, and I would lift my head up higher, my chin up as high as it could in anticipation to try to see the other side, the sloping down of those hills. I remember walking along the beach in Maine, restored buildings lining the rocky shore. The fog is so thick that you couldn't see 50 feet in front of you. And people were suntanning there. And I photographed the lighthouses. How do they work with this much fog? It's so thick like cigarette smoke coming from inside of your truck when we would be driving to antique shops in New Hampshire. Thick like a powerful force overcoming something, overcoming someone. It holds you there. It doesn't let go, like us. A week before the smoke in the hills, I was in the Midwest, and my father was screaming at me. 2 weeks before, I was 1,000 miles away, dreaming of someone else. And it wasn't a month ago that I was skipping past the old Kentucky house where movies were made, where all of this began. And now, in this truck with you, I lean back, watching the scenery traveling past me, traveling into the blurred lines of color. And I think of marriage, maybe with you if time wears on, but probably not. I just think of marriage to someone. Marriage streamlining life into a blur, settling down, settling. It's funny how your surroundings change you. And soon I know I will be back home, carrying my possessions in a tweed bag with duct tape on the handle. I'll get back to something. Driving through these plains to the black, getting back to life, and everything will all be the same again. Yeah. I'll do one really short one. And this one is not about my husband. It's just a very, very, very old poem. And it is called John. At the other side of the room, I look through the cigarette smoke, the roar of conversation, and the dim lights. I look at his face, but I no longer see John. I have dreamt and envisioned a godlike figure. I've imagined his sensitivity and his thoughtfulness. I have felt his hands caress my skin, his lips meet mine. He has held me 1,000 times and protected me. I've rehearsed our memories, our moments together in my mind, these moments that I have created, the candlelight dinners, the dancing, the loving, while never knowing him more than across a crowded room. The music blares as I look over my shoulder between the empty faces, and I see his image, laughing, smiling, conversing with friends. My eyes flare with envy. I wonder why he is not with me. But I know. The face across the room is no longer John. It is a door to a dream that will never come to life. Thank you.
Now if you are my Benedict, my darling, then I might have a... Make some noise for Janet, ladies and gentlemen.